those too days to walk where the shadows creep, waking up the mysteries the old earth keeps exploring, the unknown, keeping the wonder alive. He's bringing the flame to the legendary show, Paranormal Among Us, where the proof is paramount. Oh, we're talking about the ghosts and the good podcast times, investigating whispers from ancient haunted climes, from Bigfoot prints to a shadow in the hall. Amazing guests already answering the call, 'cause with Paranormal Paul, a new mystery.
Hey guys, happy Tuesday everybody. 6:30 here in the Midwest and 7:30 down in Florida, East Coast, wherever you're at. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's having a wonderful week so far. Natalie, welcome back to the show. We missed you last week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. Hello, everyone. Yeah. I am back. I'm back.
Oh, God.
I know. Isn't it terrible?
There goes the neighborhood.
There it goes. straight into the toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Between my daughter being in the hospital and this god awful cold, I'm just putting one foot in front of the other and keep pushing forward.
And that's all you got. And you know what? I'm glad to hear your daughter's doing better.
Yes.
Sorry you have your cold going on, but I appreciate you powering through it and coming on.
Thank
I think
you.
the last time you were on, you had a cold too.
This is the remnants of
Still?
that from 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago,
God.
I'm sitting here on this podcast and we're interviewing her and I'm going, I'm going to pass out because I had a fever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, oh, this isn't good. And so, yeah, after that, it just broke loose.
Do you remember what you all said during that? Because I record. It was you were just weird.
I know. I'm sure I was.
I'm kidding.
No, clearly, I'm sure I was.
No, you made sense. I mean, I had no idea that you were had a fever or anything. But
yeah, I was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was like getting waves of I'm going to pass out right now, but I kept pushing through.
That is no
push
fun.
Through.
That is no fun. So
boom.
Glad you're on the mend.
Yes, I'm on the mend.
You know, I was going to say something before that. Oh, we did not plan this. Not at all.
We did not. I swear to you. We're wearing the exact same shirt.
Yeah. Well, no, you're wearing your shirt. I'm wearing my shirt.
Anyway, back to me.
Back to Natalie.
Missed me, didn't you?
I mean, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a crazy 2 weeks for me. Mm-hmm. My daughter was in the ICU. She got medically stable. She is still in the hospital, and so they are keeping her for observation. So it is all good news.
Yeah, that's definitely not good news when your kid's in the hospital.
Yeah.
But I'm glad she's doing better, and
yes,
just observation, so that's good.
Yes, so she's being observed now, and then we're going to be planning out next steps on Thursday. So good. Thank you, everybody, for keeping us in your prayers, and thank you for all the messages and everything. I so appreciate that. We all appreciate that, and she's on the mend, so thank you.
That is awesome. Yes. We have a out of this world show tonight.
Literally out of this world. Literally.
We have Karen Holton backstage. We're going to talk UFOs and all kinds of fun stuff with that. But before we get into that, I want to, if you guys are anybody's in the path of this storm that's coming across the country. Right now, it's up in northern Illinois. I know we're supposed to get stuff later on tonight. So anybody in the Midwest, and I'm not sure, I'm probably heading northeast a little bit. Some nasty stuff up near Chicago and northern Illinois. They have 3 to 5 inch size hail.
Wow.
So yeah, if you're up that way, I don't know that we have anybody in chat that's up in Chicago. Which is fine because I don't like that.
Or if you're traveling there,
if you're traveling,
turn around.
Yeah, turn around, or stop under an overpass or something.
Or your local pub.
Safety, yeah. So
have a drink.
Have a drink.
Wait it out.
Yeah.
Wait it out.
It might take a while.
Have a cocktail. Drinks. Have a Cosmo. Have a nice martini.
There you go.
Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you, Mickey. Appreciate you, Mickey. As soon as I find where my mouse is, there we are. Thank you, Mickey. Appreciate that. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? I don't think
one last thing.
I'm
super excited. The Vanished film through Relic Films went through a QC process and passed everything, and now it's being farmed out to many streaming platforms. So get ready. Watch my social media because I'm going to have all the links there to send out to everybody so everybody could watch it.
What is QC process?
Quality control and quality assurance.
I knew that. I was testing you.
I knew you were.
That made sense.
And you were hoping that I would know that. And I know that you were testing me.
Yeah. Because, I don't know if everybody in chat knew that, but I wanted to make sure that you did.
Being me honest.
All right. Little Patty says we're expecting storms around 8 p.m. tonight. So, so you're going to hit it before me because you're out in Kansas near Ray County. So be safe out there, everybody. So, all right. With all of that, we are going to bring Karen Holton up. She is an ET and angelic experiencer, author, exopolitical ambassador, holistic coach, transdimensional channel. And welcome, Karen. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm all excited to be here. I'll say hi to everyone in the live chat. Nice of you to join us.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I don't get a whole lot of interdimensional UFO experiencers on here much anymore, but I kind of want to get back into it, and here we are. I'm glad you agreed to come on here, and I saw you on PNL podcast, and I told Jen, if I would love to get in contact with you, and she got us connected and got you on here. So this is awesome.
Thank you.
So before we get going with everything, can you give everybody a little bit of a brief history about you and where they can find you? I have all your links on your link tree in the show notes and everything, so you can. And Pam's putting them up on in the chat. So, Karen.
Wonderful. Well, I do have a YouTube channel. It's called Karen Holton TV, and I'm host of 3 different podcasts because each one I was going to do them all as one, but then some don't fit. So I didn't really know how to slice and dice it. So Sunday is the Aliens and Angels podcast, where I interview people who have had experiences. Not so much researchers, actual experiencers. And it can be aliens, angels, anything within that genre. Wednesdays, I do the Quantum Guide Show, where I interview people from all over the world who have something positive to offer humanity. So that's the 2 main ones. And then every couple of weeks, I meet up with my friend Joan, who's in Calgary, Alberta, which is in Canada. And we just talk about whatever we want. And we do a 3rd podcast called Unseen Nexus. So, but I'm also on Facebook and, all the usual suspects or suspected places. And I'm part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network with Chris Matthew. So I'm also available on all audio platforms. So that's sort of where people can find me. Of course, I have a website too. But you know what? My link tree has everything. If you go there, you can find whatever and everything. It's quite a bit.
You sent me a list of all your links. And thank God your link tree was on the very top of it. And I'm like, you know what? This would take me forever. Just put the link tree up. It has everything on there. I just
send everything in my media package, figure you'll just sort through and pick out what you want and don't worry about the rest. Yeah.
Anybody hear weird breathing just now?
That might be me.
It might have been
Oh.
me.
Well,
I don't know. I don't.
because I was holding my breath because I thought something was going to attack me.
No,
Okay.
my washer's going right now, but I mean, I know that I've been wheezing a little bit, so my apologies.
Oh, okay. All right. I just, so Karen, we hear a lot of weird things coming through here. Usually when Natalie's speaking, but a lot of weird other sounds come through. No. We pick on each other constantly.
You're so
I
kind.
can tell.
We're like brother and sister. It's weird.
Yeah, we are.
Totally.
Truly.
Yeah, I'm going to tell Mom.
Yes.
Krista, no,
So weird.
it's like, we get a lot of weird noises. Every now and then we'll get somebody, a voice come through here, say a word or two, whatever. So if you see me kind of looking really strange, I mean, that's normal. But
It's normal.
Yeah.
But if he goes, "Did you hear that?" Then we've heard something.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. And you have a couple books out, or one book out?
Two, but
Two.
I didn't expect to write the second one. That was a complete surprise. I have a very spirit-led life, you know. So when spirit just moves me to do something, and it won't leave me alone till I do. So I mean, it's not like I hear voices or anything. I just get like what I would call urges to do things, and generally I do as I'm directed. And so after the first book, which took me years to unpack, I mean, my ET experience didn't happen till like 2014, and it took me till 2017 before I was brave enough to tell anybody, because you know what happens, everyone rolls their eyes and thinks you're nuts, right? Which is not a big deal, especially at my age. But then I started coming out with it, and then I met Preston Dennett. I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's a lovely, lovely human being. He's worked for MUFON, and he's published over 30 books on the subject. Wow. Yeah. And he said, "Karen, you gotta publish a book. You gotta do it." And I went, "Okay," but it took me a lot longer than I thought. So anyway, I got it published in December. It's called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors. I got it published in December of 2024. Then all of a sudden, over the holidays, we get totally snowed in, so there's not a lot to do. But I started getting these urges to play with this really old. It's not really AI. It's sort of the precursor to it that makes images. And I had this trial copy. For some reason, it kept working, so I kept using it. I kept having these urges to create all these images of what we would call the grays. And I ended up with a whole bunch of them. And then I went, well, what am I supposed to do with these? Oh, no, another book. So the first book is about my experiences. The second book is really only 2 chapters of experiences from 7 different people who've experienced the grays. And then it's a picture book. So there's over 250 pictures. So the first one is called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors. And the second one is called Transdimensional: Meet the Grays picture book. This is author copy, so it has this do not sell thing on it. And so that's how the second book came about. And it's not so much to give you information, although it does that. It's to help people get used to the looks of beings who are like us, but very different than us as well, right? So that's an example of some of the pictures. Yeah. So I covered hybrid children, females, males, human-looking, stereotypical. Here's a couple of the little hybrids. And what it is it's something that people can get, and they can go through it with their kids, they can go through it with their neighbors, they can go through it themselves, and it's going to make them kind of get adapted to and used to seeing humanoids that look a little different than us. According to my experience, we're all the same species, we're just different family lines. And what I also found out was that just like if you took an ordinary family here on Earth and maybe they have 5 kids, each kid looks different. Some got bigger ears, some got bigger noses, some have different skin tones. Like there's a lot of diversity, and the same is actually true for ET. And but anyway, so the second book is To Reduce Fear, and it's a teaching tool. You see, I think that we're going to start seeing grays very, very soon here on Earth. And I call them grays. There's many different family lines and different cultures, and can keep their fear down, keep their fear in check. They're going to keep their critical thinking skills. They're going to stay more grounded, and and then they're going to go, well, gee, they don't look that terrible to me. And and this is beyond the debate who's nefarious and who's beneficial, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not saying they're not all the same, but anyway, so that's why I did the second one, and I thought we would start seeing them in 2025, but we haven't. But I think 2026 is going to probably be the year. I think this is going to be the year.
Why do you say that? What makes this these couple years so, I guess, intriguing for Greys, or I guess any aliens for that matter, to come visit us?
That is not based on my experience, but it is based on the research I've done. So, for instance, Chris Bledsoe, I have a great respect for him. He wrote UFO of God. His experiences are completely different than mine, but I don't discount anybody. And he's such a sweet and sincere man, that I really, really like him a lot. So he's at around Easter time, he's in touch with an entity he calls the Lady. And the Lady told him that Easter of 2026, there's going to be a huge revelation. That's real close. That's only a few weeks away.
Yeah.
Then I've seen some shows with Templar, the knights that are part of the Templar, which is kind of a lot of overlap with maybe the Rosicrucians or other groups. I don't know. I'm not 100% clear on what they're all about, but they have got some ancient manuscripts that they've been able to decode. And in there, they claim that there's going to be ET presence June the 6th. So there's that. And then there's something else that is slipping my mind right now that indicates, oh, I know, when the star, when you know how the Sphinx is facing a specific direction and there's a star that comes up once a month that's normally blue, it's going to come up over the horizon and be red. So now the astronomers and all that are predicting that that's going to happen in September or October of 2026. So it's 3 different sources completely unrelated to each other that are coming up with that. And so that's why I think it's this is the year. Besides, come on, it's such a clown show out there. Let's just throw in the clowns. Where are the clowns? I'm not trying to put down, the Greys, but I'm just saying,
Now, when you say about that, like them making an appearance, do you feel that they are residing somewhere on Earth or somewhere outside of Earth?
Well, based on friends that I have that have had extensive contact with groups that we call the Greys, like for instance the Ponte, there is overwhelming evidence that there are groups. And let me just explain something. The only thing these different groups have in common is the fact that their skin doesn't have the pigment necessary to reflect the colors that are in our visible vision or the light spectrum. That doesn't mean that they don't see each other as different colors in their own way, right? So when I say the Greys, there's huge diversity, all kinds of different groups. So apparently, and I'm quite convinced of this, there have been Greys that have been here longer than humans. They even have an orb, like the Bugha sphere. That's part of their surveillance system, and they've been keeping us safe from the nefarious races for thousands of years, and they've been
Mm.
here. They tend to live like under mountains or in deep in the ocean, things
Yeah.
like that. And so I think that is, and there may even be more than one race of them that are basically indigenous to Earth, right?
Wow.
Then you have the beings that get here from other star systems like whatever reticuli and stuff like that. And then there's also the whole transdimensional reality. And then
Mm.
even in my own experience, I experienced using it's biological, but it's not like us. It's like a container that different beings can use to move their consciousness through um, through a physicality to other so-called places and spaces.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
That's fascinating because I just had this conversation last night with a friend of mine, and we were talking about indigenous species of aliens living on Earth. And then we
Mm-hmm.
started talking about the different dimensions and how
Mm-hmm.
there is movement back and forth. And, we are very much in a certain dimension and we can't see past it, but only certain people that know can then communicate. So
And
I'd love to hear more about this.
well, it's actually even wilder than that. So, in my book, I talk about my experience aboard what I call the big ship. Now, keep in mind that I wasn't ever given here on Earth concepts to really explain and make sense of my experiences. Also, I don't have language. So, a lot of these words I'm just making up, and I didn't want to use stereotypical words. So, like for instance, the big ship, you may refer to it as a mothership. We're talking huge, massive,
Mhm.
with more than millions of beings that live there. They don't even live on planets, they live there. A lot are born there. Planets are not always the safest places for advanced beings to live.
Mm.
Um, so, what I want everyone to do is just use your imagination for a minute and imagine an enormous daisy flower. And imagine that each petal, there's like 100 petals on this daisy, and each petal represents a different timeline, a different dimensional reality, a different frequency reality, the spiritual realms, different positions within the multiverse. Like it's enormously complex. And
Mhm.
at the center, which would be like a Venn diagram, everything joins at the center, and that's interdimensional space. So the big ship, it doesn't sit in any particular physical space or quadrant of our universe or anything like that. It sits in an interdimensional envelope. And from there, all kinds manner of beings can come and go, and it just works. And it serves the purpose of being a training center, a hospitality center, a first contact point, and um, and the beings look very much like us, although most are taller, wider frames, wider hands, wider feet. Pigment is browns, black, close to white, orange, even slightly blue in color. But they're from all different origins, and but they're together doing this amazing work. And they also train. They do expeditions to different worlds. Because you see, this is the other thing where my experience is a little different than other people's, and that is I was taught that we are created beings, all of us. And there are all these worlds, if you could imagine them like habitats. They've got everything: fish, atmosphere, gravity, trees, birds, bugs, antelope like beings, everything, but no humanoids. Humanoids are placed when they're ready into these worlds. But first, there has to be really in-depth scientific study done to make sure that when they do position humanoids to live there, they're not going to screw up the ecosystem or the
Mm.
biosphere. Everything has to be done in knowledge and understanding, not to, because there's a great respect for all kinds of life. So they do that. They also do some intergalactic, what I call intergalactic resettlement. but they're not just going to come and save everyone. They don't do that. They sort of project their information or their contact to everybody, and then when we're able to receive that level of frequency, we start to see experiences that we often write off as being in our dreams or imaginings. We tend to gaslight ourselves something fierce, on Earth. And the difference is I didn't really gaslight myself. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Then I thought I was crazy. I had to work my way through all of that. And then I realized it was a real thing. And I want everyone to know I don't have all my memories, but I have quite a few. But I have no memory of a spaceship showing up and beaming me aboard and taking me anywhere. It didn't happen like that for me. It happened for me during a 3-month period of our Earth time. And I would go to bed at night. I'd instantly fall into a deep sleep until morning. And then I would wake up and be back in my own little bed. And every night that I went to bed, it was like I was either here or I was there. And when I was there, there's a time dilation. So I was there for weeks, even months at a time, with experiences, waking up in my bed, and it's the very next morning, and I would run around with a cup of tea just going, what the hell was that?
Wow.
What the hell was that?
I would have been doing the same thing.
And before I even had time to process what I experienced, boom, I was back in again. And it was completely congruent, and it took off from the point I left and then back, and it just took off from there. It was the most beautiful, amazing experience of my life. And I'll just pause now because I'm sure you have some questions.
Oh, I got a lot of questions, and they're the questions I have are going to go back to what we were talking about before. But I think I want to get into your experience here now. And you said this was in 2014?
Yeah, around there. Now, I was going through some huge health crises at the time. I don't want to get into it because that'd be a whole podcast of its own, right? And it did, and then I wasn't even sure if it was a real thing for a number of years. So, it could have been 2013, but it wasn't any later than 2014. And by the way, I was not using any psychedelics or ayahuasca mushrooms, nothing like that, not even cannabis at the time when this happened. So it was every night for 3 months. And it completely screwed me up psychologically, I'll tell you.
Real quick, before your encounter, I know since I've been doing this show, and I thought I just saw something fly around here. Since I've been doing the show, and even before that, I would lay outside or go outside and look up at the sky and just, sometimes I would wish I would see something. Sometimes I would just wonder, what all's out there. Did you have anything like that you were doing that you would wish to see something, wish to even believe that they were around?
No, it was just right out of the blue. Now, I had an angelic experience a number of years earlier in the mid-1990s. So, and I've had weird experiences all my life that I can't explain. And so, usually an experience comes about because I actually have a desire for it. That has happened, especially in my childhood and young adulthood. But no, the same with the angelic experience. Did not expect it. The angelic experience happened one night, one time. That was it. And then that was done. And then, but that I believe set me up for my future ET contact, in my opinion.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So
what type of angelic experience did you have, might I ask?
Well, it's weird. It's pretty weird, but here we go. Down the rabbit hole. Basically, I was in a very bad emotional state. Long story short, I was divorced from my husband. He was remarried. He talked me into letting the kids go live with him because they wanted their turn. And then he denied me access to them. And it just broke me as a person. And so I was in this really low state of grieving. And I started getting the urge to off myself. I'm saying off myself because I'm hoping the algorithm will be okay with that.
I appreciate that.
And now I just want to skip ahead. 2 years later, I met a woman. She asked me where I lived. I told her. She said, "Oh my God, do you know what happened in that house?" And I said, "No." And she told me she knew the mother of the man who had offed himself before I had moved into that house. So what I'm thinking happened, going back to the angelic experience just before, is that I was in such a low state of vibrational state of grieving that I kind of opened myself up to whatever residual energy was in that house from the man who had offed himself. And that's why I was having the urge to do it the same peculiar way, which I'm not going to get into on your show. And so it was the night before I was going to do it. And I have no idea how this all happened, but I was sitting on my bed. I was bawling my eyes out. I didn't want to live anymore. And all of a sudden, I saw like an overlaying what I could see with my physical eyes. I saw something that looked like, I don't know, hundreds of points of light and lights flashing out the side, giving it the illusion of wings. So I don't know if these were real angels or not, but then it spoke to me in a voice that was like 1,000 voices all speaking in perfect harmony as one voice. And it challenged me and asked me, why do you want to leave? What's going on? What's going on, Karen? And I said, because I think life sucks and it was never meant to be like this, and all I've had is these horrible experiences in my life, and this is not good. I'm not learning anything. I'm not doing any good here. I'm not sure I want to be here anymore. And they said to me, and I was hearing it in English, and they said to me, you have the right to leave whenever you want. There are exit points. Life was never meant to be that unbearably painful. But if you want to stay, we'll give you a gift. And I went, what? First of all, I'd never heard of anybody having an experience like this, number one. Number two, who gets offered gifts from some kind of supernatural phenomenon? Like, I'd never heard of it. I didn't know what to do with it. Right. So I said, well, can I think about it? And they said, whatever it was, said, of course you can. And when you're ready, you just tell us, because we're always close. So that was the first thing I learned, is that the spiritual realms, they're close to all of us all the time. We just can't pick it up necessarily unless we've got, paranormal gifts. So I thought, oh boy. So the next day I went for a really long walk. And I was thinking, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? I thought, money. If I had enough money, I could hire a lawyer and I could give my kids a good life and everything might work out okay. And then I went, that's not it. That's a trap. Don't fall for that one. And then I thought, well, maybe if I was really popular, really famous, people would come to my aid. I'm basically a nobody. And then I went, nope, that's not it. And it took me about 3 days to come up with what I wanted. And then I just said out loud, I said, I need wisdom. If I have wisdom, I can make my life work. I can figure out how to get my kids back. I can be a blessing to this world. I want wisdom. That's the gift I'm going to ask for. And then the weirdest thing happened. This is completely unbelievable. I don't expect anybody to believe me. It's weirder than weird. I got the question, do you want the fast method or the quick method or the slow method? Now, me and my naivety thought they would just pour this wisdom into me and I'd become this great wise soul. It didn't work that way. You see, the slow method would have been an easier path, and I chose the quick method. I didn't even think about it. I just said, I want the quick method, because I just was tired of being a loser. Pardon me for putting myself down, but at the time, that's how I was thinking, right? And that was it. I never heard from them again, never saw them again, never had any kind of inkling. I know they're around because they told me they were, and they obviously had a lot of information about my life, so I trust that, right? But then what happened is all kinds of terrible things happened. But what was different was my perspective was different. I could see things from a different angle, a different perspective, and I learned and I learned and I learned. And I'm not saying I'm the wisest person in the world, but I know I got a super great life, and I engineered that for myself. You see, what happens is when you can look into your past, do your shadow work and all that icky stuff that nobody wants to do, then you learn, and then you can course correct in the now. And when you course correct in the now, you're ensuring that your tomorrows will be better. Right? That's the whole thing, is the learning. We just don't want to be in these endless loops of mistakes. We want to get the jewels that are embedded in all of our experiences. So that was how that started. And then zoom later to 2014, then I had my ET experience. It completely ruined my any kind of social life. I couldn't be around people. I couldn't be around anybody because I needed to really think about what was happening and my experiences and everything, and I couldn't share it with anybody. So yeah,
you couldn't share it with anybody because you thought they would think you were crazy, or
well,
you just
they already thought I was crazy, but yeah. And I had enough pressure on me without more pressure. You see, I used to be a Jehovah Witness. My mom was a Jehovah Witness, and I had quit just before a couple of years, maybe at the most, before the angelic experience, right? And then I was done with religion. And this is no disrespect to anyone out there who has religion. If it does it for you, that's awesome. But for me, I'd had enough, and I quit. And so there was huge political battles within the family, because they believe that if you leave that religion, then your children are going to get killed, and you're going to get killed because God's turned his back on you. It's pretty nasty anyway. So there was all of that. There was, I tried telling a few people, and they all just went, okay, that's nice. People didn't have a frame of reference for it. It wasn't even like the whole ET phenomena is much more common, much more mainstream today than it was 10, 12 years ago. So yeah, sorry, I forgot your question.
No, I just asked for for your experience, the angelic experience. But I know, Paul, you had a question.
I forgot it. Come on.
Where's the pink Post-it notes,
Yeah,
dude?
I don't have the pink Post-it notes. I got the green one.
Well, I could just sally forth if you like.
Yeah, let's.
By all means.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and by the way, I'm glad the angels interfered and that you are here with us today. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The world is a much better place with you in it.
Yes.
Oh, I hope. I'm trying.
I do have a couple questions from the chat that I do have starred. We'll get to them a little later on in the show. So
I referred to the big ship. So the big ship is not made of metal and plastic and stuff. It's actually a life form in of itself. And everything aboard the big ship is handled telepathically. There's no spoken words. So when I first got there, it was in part of my orientation process was to learn how to do telepathy. And telepathy is not just broadcasting what you're thinking. That is not, at least not in my experience. What telepathy is a combination of phenomena, like, for instance, emotions, body sensations, short videos that play out in your mind's eye, overlays, symbols. It's a whole bunch of things, and you learn to read it. Well, I kind of more feel it as like a language, and I had to learn how to do that. But the most important part, and this was really hard, was to learn how to keep my thoughts private. You see, aboard the big ship, these beings are not thousands of years ahead of us. Well, they might be, but they're basically at our next stage of development. So once we put away our anger and our jealousy and our trickery and our warring ways, and once we're done with all of that, and we want to step out into the love harmonic, we become like a new creation. Then we'll take our place alongside with these beings, which have many, many different options. And so they're very peaceful, very loving, very empathetic, very gentle, very kind, very generous, full of mercy. Like, these are beautiful, beautiful beings to be around. But part of how they maintain that order is to be able to keep their thoughts private And then also to be able to share with maybe one or two people within, or beings within a group, or to the whole group, depending on what's appropriate. So that was really difficult. I wrote about that in great detail in my book too, how that all went and how I learned and how long it took and how frustrated I was with my inability to keep things quiet. In loose terms, I'm a very sloppy, very loud kind of projector of my thoughts and feelings, and I had to really learn how to uh, harness that, for lack of a better word. Then after that, I was able to study and learn and take my place, make friends, and it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And yeah, so that's the big ship. The big ship is amazing. It's like its ventilation or air conditioning system is like a respiratory system. The recycling and recreation of goods and things we need, that's very much like a digestive system. And this was very physical. I was eating, sleeping, even pooping aboard the big ship. And it was a full life experience. And then, after a couple of weeks or whatever, I'd wake up at home. In the beginning, it was very disorienting, but eventually it got to the point where I went, damn, I'm home again. And I go out and do grocery shopping and see how sick and weak we all are. It was so sad to see what's happened to the human condition compared to these other beings that are so healthy. So, do you have any questions, or should I?
So you mentioned that this went on every night for a few months, or every day for a few
for
months.
3 months.
So in, I'm not even sure how I need to ask this question, but in our realm, how long were you away, or how long were you gone?
Well, if you add up all the times that I was there and not here, for lack of a better word, it was about 3.5 years. So it was extensive.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you got a lot of experience, a lot of lessons, and they condensed it in Earth time.
Well, when you think about it, this is not, I didn't go to another planet that revolved around a sun. There's none of that, right? So how do you gauge time?
Right.
I don't know. It was more, but yeah, so and plus there's definitely a time dilation. So when I first went there, they assign us all a buddy. We get a buddy, someone who looks the closest to us, not exact, but close, that we can feel comfortable with, depending on what world or what reality or what realm we come from. And they stay with us 24/7 and, give us all the information we need, help us to get oriented. It's really quite a lovely experience. She was, I would say, almost a foot taller than me, very long limbs, kind of a pale blue. Her hair was red. It was in all these little spirally, what we would call cowlicks all over her head. But she was really quite attractive, very gentle, very sweet. And she showed me around. She became one of my very close friends. We don't have names, of course, and nobody speaks English, but no one talks at all. In fact, us humans are a little bit offensive to them, because when we talk, we've got the moving of the teeth and the mouth and the spit, and it's a little bit aggressive looking to them. They're very tidy around the mouth. So that took a bit of getting used to. They often gesture, and they are capable of making sounds. So, for instance, if they're frightened, I have an experience in my book about when I got to go down and visit a world that had been resettled by these wonderful, wonderful beings. I got to spend some time with them, and I talk all about what I experienced while I was there. Well, at night, we'd go circle around a big bonfire, and instead of telling the story with words, we would share like short imaginings. So one person would start and share their imagining, and it would go from person to person. There's children, everybody there. And when it came to be my turn, I imagined a big grizzly bear coming out of a cave, like that. And when I imagined it, the children, they all screamed and the parents laughed. So they can make sounds. It's not like they can't make sounds. It's just that when you understand how telepathy really works, it's so wonderful. There's no deception. There's no baloney. There's no hidden agendas. It's so clean. You never want to go back to spoken word again. Plus, when we speak, no matter what language we're speaking, we're containing reality within the words that we have to select from. And that actually contains reality into what I call the construct, which ultimately is basically for population control and to create the kind of order we have here on Earth. Although right now it's not very orderly, but you know what I mean. So they are able to make sounds, but but they're all very, very loving. So my buddy, her name, which was Telepathic, loosely translated was Peaceful Blossom Narrow Tongue, because she comes from beings that she was born on the big ship, and probably her parents were too, but way back in her genetics, they originated from a planet where they actually took their sustenance from these huge blossoms. And their tongues are longer than ours, a little bit narrower, and they can curl it up like a straw. And that's how they used to take their sustenance. So she didn't need it for that anymore. But she showed me her tongue. I went, wow, now that's a tongue.
Wow. Yeah, okay. So I do have a quick question here. Somebody put in chat. Maya Starfire, did time move differently on the ship than it does in this realm?
Well, hi, Maya. How you doing, sweetheart? Yes and no. Okay, so there's a time dilation. So like I said, I would go to sleep, my head would hit the pillow, I was gone. And then I'm aboard the big ship, and weeks go, what seems like weeks. So we don't have time the same way. We don't have seasons. We don't have anything like that. It's all sort of, they don't even have an orderly system where you go, oh, gee, it's 8 o'clock. I got to get up and get ready for work. There's none of that, because we're telepathic, and because we can all communicate with the big ship itself. We know when we're needed somewhere for something, or somebody wants to meet up with us, and people just do what they want. There's an order chaos because it lacks structure the way things here on Earth are. So now I forgot Maya's question. Did I answer? I'm sorry.
It was this: does time move differently? And I lost
very
it
differently.
Yeah,
very differently. Yeah, and you know, we have sleep cycles and wake cycles and eating cycles and recreation time cycles, but they're not recognized as literal days or nights. So it's kind of hard to put your finger on, really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you said your buddy, you were matched up with a buddy that resembles you, or?
Well, the closest match.
Okay.
You know, she had very pale skin like me. I had very long white hair at the time. She had super short red hair, but her skin was kind of like a pale teal color, and she was like a foot taller than me. But I have to tell you, there was no monsters on board. None. And there are some differences. Like, for instance, there was a being that I got to know. Actually, she invited me and my close friends that I made there down to her world for what they call a naming ceremony. That was really interesting. But her genetics, they like blotches and spots on their faces and on their shoulders and chest and upper arms. And when they're communicating, these spots actually dance around, and some become more prominent than others. And it's like similar to gesturing. It's another layer of communication they can do within their own kind. That was pretty cool. There was also some beings that I call the aquatics. I mean, I'm just using language as I can understand it.
Mhm.
Right.
They're not actually aquatics. They live in a fluid environment, but they don't. But it has the same oxygen content as here on Earth, which I thought was super interesting. And they have no hair. They're like a gray, blue-gray color. Very interesting. They don't walk. They kind of maneuver. They kind of raise their knees and then their feet do little circles, and that's how they maintain where they want to be or where they want to go. And if they want to go super fast, then they would use their arms too. And they live in an aquatic environment on board the big ship. So you'd have to pass through a membrane in order to get to them, which I actually did, and I talk about in my book. I took part in a shamanic ritual. So I had to prepare for a couple of weeks. So
Really?
I got to tell you how they handle your health and differences, because let's face it, every world has a different gravity, different oxygen content, other things in the air,
Right.
a whole bunch of variables. So how do you bring beings from all these different variables to share space? Well, we have what I call the healing pods. And the healing pods, you just kind of climb in and they open up like a clamshell and the top comes down and you're treated with a whole bunch of different frequency things. So it could be like smells, colors, lights. It's very comfortable. I absolutely always fall asleep whenever I'm in one. And it reconditions you to be in the environment that's aboard the big ship. So there's that. And then when beings go down to inhabit new worlds, they also take healing pods with them so that they can adapt to the environment. Usually the first or second generation of offspring that are born there will have the adaptation automatically, but especially in the beginning. You need a way to condition. Right. So, I mean, you hear people talk all the time. Like, I believe everybody because my experience is pretty unbelievable. And so, but they talk about how, the Greys pick them up and take them on a spaceship and they're allowed to fly the ship and they go out to Alpha Centauri and they go here, they go there and they walk on different worlds and all that. But there's no talk about how their bodies are being reconditioned for any of that, which I thought was kind of weird. But they also don't talk about how they poop and I do, and I talk about that in my book.
So getting on that, I know we had a question in the chat. So you said that the ship is not plastic, it's not metal. It's what, biological?
Yeah, it's not just biologic. It's the coolest thing I ever experienced. So the walls and the floors and the ceiling, there's no seam separating them. Things are not angular and square. They're very tubular, or what I would consider to be ovoid in shape. Right, first of all. But when I went over to the wall, because I was curious, and it looked like soft leather, and I ran my finger down and it had little ripples emanating from where I'd slid my finger down because it could feel what I was doing. Wow. And it interfaces with all of us on a consciousness level. And it's the coolest thing. So everything we need aboard the big ship is able to form it out of, and these are my words because I don't have words to say it, but they're biological, self-assembling, biological components. So when you go up to an area and there's a wall there, the ship knows you want to go through because you're going to some other location, right? And it just assembles. The doorway just assembles. It looks like magic. It looks exactly like magic. There's no pixelation, anything like that. It just self-assembles. And then when you're done, it disassembles. And that's how everything from the food preparation stations to everything, my quarters, my bed, that was really cool. So when my buddy took me to show me where my quarters were, she indicated to me, I could sort of pick up what she was wanting to know, and she wanted to know how I slept at home, and I imagined my bed at home. And so then she just kind of motion towards the wall, and out from the bottom of the wall came a platform, and then formed right on top of that was this beautiful kind of a soft futon with blankets and pillows, and she motioned for me just to go and lay down and try it, and I did, and she could tell by the way my body instantly relaxed that was good, right? And then when I got up and didn't need it anymore, it just went right back into the wall as if I'm in an empty room. Very cool.
And the same thing with the bathroom.
Yeah, the bathroom. You want to hear it, or is that TMO?
No, I mean that's
by all means.
Yeah,
please.
I thought it was really
everybody
cool.
does it, so I mean it's go for it.
So basically, everything is available almost everywhere, but there is some spatial reality so that we're not, entering a place where they're doing scientific work or into someone else's, domain. There is a certain amount of spatial distribution of everything. And I liken it very much to a bit of a labyrinth, kind of a labyrinth layout. Mm-hmm. And so first of all, and that's the other thing, is ET does not go to the bathroom the way we do. They just don't, and so I'm guessing they just go maybe once a day or maybe twice. But anyway, and not like me, I have to pee all the time. But anyway,
I think this is the first time I've ever had tell the poop story comment in the chat. That's pretty interesting.
Maya. She's awesome. I'm so glad she's here. Yeah. So anyway, so then I kind of wanted to know where I had to go to the bathroom because I had to pee actually. And my buddy just motioned for the wall, and then a doorway opened, and I found myself in a small room. And this platform came out level with the floor. This platform just slid out of the wall. Don't know where it came from, just slid out. And then this thing that looked like a tube, a wide tube, like around like that. And it was like an accordion where it had all the little things, so it could come up and it could go back down. And so you just drop your drawers and park it and get comfy and do your business. And when you're done, there's a little poof of air. And what that does is it dissolves any debris or moisture that's left on you, and it just sucks it down the tube, and then the tube goes back down onto the platform, and the platform then goes back into the wall. You don't touch anything, you don't have to do anything, you just pull up your trousers and you're good to go. Very, very, very slick. So that's how we poop aboard the big ship.
Sounds efficient as well.
Very efficient. The same as the housekeeping, like they don't have people with little brooms or Roombas or anything like that. There's just this fine mist that's almost imperceptible, and it's constantly coming out. I don't know where it comes from. It just comes out and it just kind of circulates and slowly gets sucked back into the walls of the ship. And what that does is it removes anything like germs, dead skin cells, anything, smells. A lot of beings have very sensitive olfactory, their sense of smell, and some beings actually have a strong odor and some not so much. It all depends on your genetics. So that takes care of all of that. So it's just very slick, very, very, very slick.
What about a shower or a bath?
Well, you can have a shower. In my quarters, I mentioned the toilet sort of thing. Well, there's also a shower. There's also a basin if I want to wash my face or wash my hands. But at the end of our sleeping cycle, when we're ready to face the day, many of us are kind of in sync. It doesn't take long to get in sync with everyone else. And they have public baths. And the baths are not like Roman style baths, BATHS. They are kind of like a river that snakes around, and the beings, we all go in that water. It's not actually even water, it's some kind of a fluid that has nutrient. So remember I told you the recycling system is a bit like a bit like a digestive system. So everything we don't want just goes into these chutes and goes down into the recycling system. And they have something that I call bugs. I don't know what they are, but they're happy as can be living in that environment. They break everything down. And then clean water's filtered out for if you want to have a drink. And then there's this sort of murky kind of fluid that we sit in when we go to the baths in the morning. So we don't do a lot of visiting or talking. Everybody just relaxes, and we kind of fall into a very like a meditative state. It's very, very relaxing and very lovely, but somehow the fluid is nutrient for our skin. It's good for our health, right? Then from there, it flows out to the hydroponics, and the hydroponics run along all the walls of the hallways and the different rooms and things, and just lush, wonderful edible plants are growing everywhere. Very, very lovely. So, and then it eventually gets recycled back into the, like I said, the getting broken down by the bugs. And then, you know, also from there, the solid matter goes into something, and it's a little bit like a replicator like you see on Star Trek, but not quite, more like a 3D printer, and it prints anything that you want, anything at all that you could possibly want. So there's no use for money. They don't have a concept for money. They're very generous. There's absolute abundance aboard the big ship. It's really, really lovely.
Interesting. This is fascinating so far.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like a place I want to go. I mean,
yeah.
You know, it actually, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the TV show a few years ago. I believe it's called The Perfect Place or the something, but it was supposedly when they die, everything kind of is supposed to be, I guess, heaven or whatever. And it kind of sounded a lot like, you know, whatever they want, it suddenly appears. Kind of sounds very similar to what you're experiencing. So, you know,
yeah, it's just like magic, but I know that there's actually a technical explanation for everything. I just don't necessarily know what it is. I may know, but I don't remember everything. The other thing I want to say too before we run out of time is that I also go to the big ship in an etheric capacity to do the exopolitical work. That's something really different. And I have very few memories of what happens. And I did that before I went physically, was physically aboard the big ship, and I go there since, but I don't have memories, and I choose to not know. A couple reasons. One reason is it might interfere with my spiritual evolution or my soul evolution while I'm on Earth, but it also might make me really interesting to three-letter agencies. And if I don't have it, I have nothing for them to get from me. So I think it's my own for my own protection. And I've also been told there are millions of us on Earth that are experiencing this. Millions. But people wake up in the morning, they may not remember because they have a contract to not remember, or they might not remember because it would interfere with their soul evolution. And it's after being there just nights for 3 months, and then it was over. As abruptly as it began, it was over. And it was a sad day for me because I really loved it. I loved it a lot.
Why do you think you were chosen for that?
God only knows. I am so ordinary, it's pathetic. I am as flawed as everybody else. No idea. Well, actually, that's not true. I do have a little inkling, and that is I've had these paranormal experiences all my life, and I believe that I'm a good candidate for switching my consciousness to another reality because of my paranormal experiences growing up. So I think that might have something to do with it, but trust me, I am nobody special, really, like, you know, not.
Yeah, well, to them you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to us you are.
Thank you. Well, there everybody is. And it was, you know, I actually believe. So a lot of people go, well, how did you get your body there? I think that's a really good question. And I think in the beginning, somehow there was some kind of a ability to have me there physically, but I can't explain how. After that, there's several ways that I could be there physically. One is to do a consciousness swap with an ET. Another one is what I call a clone body. It's a one size fits all. You don't eat or drink or sleep when you're using it. It's for temporary physicality. So your consciousness just goes there. But I did not do so good in that environment. And so I ended up getting a copy of me. And I know it's me because I feel like me, I look like me, but I don't have the imperfections. So I don't have arthritis in my toes, and I don't have a crooked nose, and I don't need glasses. So I was like waking up at home. I was always like fumbling for my glasses so I can see. And oh God, all the aches and pains are back. I didn't have any of that. So I actually believe that when I die, I'm going to go back. And everything's ready for me, and that's where I want to go.
Take your time. Beautiful. Take your time getting there. Take your time getting there.
We need
no. I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush. Yeah. I got cats. I got furry babies. One just jumped up.
Oh, nice.
Mine was just in the background.
Here.
Oh, look at that cute.
Holy cow, that's a
big
chunk.
Boy.
Yeah.
Baby boy. You come to visit. You sit up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you back on the show. We have a hard out at 8:00 tonight, so we have just about 25 minutes to go.
I can go a little longer if you want, or you can ditch me and continue without me.
No. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that we have a hard out at 8:00 because another one's coming on. Another podcast is coming on BMR. Coming up at
24
minutes.
Minutes.
She's got Heather Mosier coming on. So
yes.
Guys, make sure you jump over to BMR after this as well. But I have there's a bunch of questions in here from our chat that I really want to get to. But I also want to get to your paranormal stuff, but that we might have to save that one for another show.
Well, what's easier is that people buy my book and people are going, "Oh yeah, she's pushing her book." Yeah, I am pushing my book because that's right. Really
good for
read.
you.
I mean,
I haven't sold a whole lot, but I have 16 5-star ratings on Amazon.
Nice.
So everybody who has left me a review has given me 5 stars. So I think it's a really good read, but it's got another layer of intention to it, and that is to show us that the only way to live functionally is to live in what I call the love harmonic. Right. So we need to be, and love is like a basket. It's not just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's being compassionate and having empathy and being patient and mild and self-control and a whole bunch of things. But when we do that, we don't need a lot of rules and laws because we take care, we act appropriately to each other in a true sense, loving environment, and it's completely functional. It's the only thing that works. And so I've seen it work on other worlds, and I know it would work here. And so it's to help people to understand. And it's not easy to do. I mean, you try going a whole day being patient with everybody. It's not easy. And then it has to start with love towards self first. Right. So you have to practice all those things to self, get good at it, and then we can start shining that out to each other. So it's also a recipe on how to not just have a more functional reality, but also that will set us up for more contact, because then the other beings are going to want to be around us. Most ETs don't even know we're around. If they knew how we lived, they'd be horrified. They'd be disturbed. Because they have nothing like it in their reality, and they would not even believe that we could live this way. Sorry, but it's sort of how it is from my perspective.
No. So let's, the first question we have from Freaky Geek, do you have memories of others if you don't have all of yours? Interesting question.
You mean, do I have other people's memories?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of. As far as I know, I have my own memories, but I don't have all of them. And I have a spiritual guide who I call Bob the Gray. He's adorable. I'll see if I can find a picture of him. I got pictures in my book too, to help people to get the gist. But he's beautiful. I've never seen him face to face. I only see him through the portal of my mind's eye. He's
like a cool customer.
he's quite the character. When he first started appearing to me, I thought I was imagining it. It was irritating. I didn't want to hear from some imaginary friend in my mind. It was kind of irritating. And he left for a while, and then he came back when I needed him. And he helps me to do remote viewing. He helps me to release my memories. He helps me in many ways. He's got a great sense of humor. He always shows up with these black slacks, a black turtleneck sweater, and a black fedora because it makes me laugh. And he's really into the music of both Michael Jackson and Frank Sinatra. He says they have the same frequencies that give him positive feelings. He likes.
It's funny you said that. I was just going to say he looks like a jazz musician or something like that.
Yeah. He's very stylish.
Yeah, he is stylish, and he has a great sense of humor, and he doesn't want me to be afraid. So
that's good.
He does all kinds of silly things, so I'm not afraid, because he's my sort of stereotypical gray. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Have you ever undergone hypnotic regression?
No, and I won't.
Okay.
And the reason why is because my consciousness is partly just the way it's evolved, but also partly gifts that have been given to me, I think, from the spiritual realms. But also I've had a lot of trauma, especially early childhood trauma, and I don't want to get any of that messed up and spread around. And so no, what I know is what I know. What I remember is what I remember, and I'm just going to keep it like that.
Gotcha. Have you interacted with any reptilians on the ship?
Nope, nothing like that. So you know how you hear about Arcturians and reptilians and Greys? Well, besides Bob, by the way, his name isn't Bob. I just call him Bob, and he's cool with it. They're not into identity politics. I never met any ETs that have any concept of racism or identity politics. They don't even get into gender. If you're born with something that, can carry a baby, then you would carry a baby. And if you were born with something that impregnates someone who can carry a baby, that's what you got. There's no fashion that has to be regulated to do with it. None of that. It's very, very freeing and very great. But anyway, so reptilians and all the things you hear about people talk about, no, I have no experience. I can't speak to it because I haven't experienced it. Gotcha. No. Gotcha. Short answer, no.
Okay.
Do all of them have clothes? I guess all the Greys on the mothership.
All the beings on the big ship have their own unique personalities, regardless of their bloodlines. Some prefer more clothes, some prefer much less. And there's no shame either way. No one would ever be fat shamed, or nobody works out, nobody goes on diet. Like, all of that is constructed here on Earth. None of that exists there. So yes, some do, and nope, some don't. Not much.
Mm-hmm.
I really need to be there.
We all do.
Yeah.
And you said in the beginning of the show, we still have another question that I want to get to from JoJo. But you said in the beginning of the show something about they're good and bad aliens. Obviously, you've experienced the good ones. Mm-hmm. Have you encountered any of the bad ones, or have these good ones that you've encountered, have they warned you, protected you from them, or?
Well, apparently it has to do with frequency. Everything boils back down to frequency. So if you're vibing on a frequency where you're, full of love and grace and, all those good things, there are other beings that are not. They're of a lower vibrational state, and they can't hook on. They can't show up in the same space. Mm-hmm. Right? So I've always, like I said, I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I was really sincere. I really loved God, and I really wanted to be a good Christian. And, I was there to help people. And I was really a good girl for many, many years. Well, I still am, but that's because it's functional. I know that if we all treat each other the way we want to be treated, the world would change in an instant, and it would all be different. There'd be no more wars, and all this nasty stuff would go away. We got that power to do that. And so I'm thinking that, I'm not saying I'm impervious to it, but I think that the lower frequencies, if you're watching all the war stuff on TV and all the Jeffrey Epstein and the horrors packed into that whole thing, well, your vibration comes down, absolutely comes down. You can even test yourself with a pendulum to see the huge effect it has on us. So I'm not saying I don't pay attention to world events, but I spend many parts of every day raising my frequency, sending love and healing. And I'm not saying I'm that good, but let's put it this way. I'm not as good as I want to be, but I'll keep working on it.
Right.
And I think that more to do with it than anything else.
Yeah, you know, I can't speak to anybody else, but you know, I chose to turn the news off. Yeah, it's good to know some of that stuff, but you know, it's all negative and nasty stuff anyway. This is so much more fun.
Yes.
It is.
Couple more actually. We got another one.
Sure.
Has Karen experienced any Sasquatch like species on ships? Why is that a tongue twister for me? Wow.
Yeah, me too. No, I would say no, but I have seen some beings that look like, you know, those Anunnaki gods that are portrayed in ancient Assyrian stuff with the ringlety beards, and they're really big, like they're 3 times as big as the average human, right? You got really hairy legs and everything, but they're very humanoid.
Okay. And then Bonnie had one. Did they ever implant anything in you?
I don't think so, but I just have some kind of a gift where I'm able to go to some kind of a, it's not even a place, but I'll call it a place for something to call it. You know, where I interface very well with other realities and other beings. And again, as I mentioned before, I'm not going to get into the details, but a lot of trauma when I was young. What trauma does is it causes you to dissociate. Plus, it causes you on a psychic level to reach out for something to help, to be there, to sustain you. And I think that, you know, if we can get past, past what happened to us, because it's not just me, you know, millions of people, maybe billions are traumatized. I mean, just the birth process in North America is pretty brutal. You know, we all have some kind of trauma, but I really think that it opens us up to have these spiritual experiences. So I think that might have something to do with it. I'm not 100% sure. So
they didn't implant anything in you, but some people have actually mentioned about pregnancies, and you hear pregnancies coming out of this. Has anything like that happened to anybody that you've known from being on these ships?
Pregnancy, yeah, because they often have families, but before they pair off and have families, they know each other really, really well. They don't just meet someone and then want to have sex. Has got a whole, I have a whole chapter on love, reproduction, and sex in my book, because it's a whole different way of approaching reproduction. Very, very different. But basically, the couple then agrees and stays together until the offspring is mature enough to be out on their own. And then you can part ways and go do whatever you want. There's many, many beings who never reproduce. They have no concept, like I said, for like being gay or lesbian or anything. But there's nothing against it. If you can love who you want to love, you can. Some even have multiple sex partners. There's also different kinds of sex. There isn't just the physical sex as we understand it. There's 2 other ways of doing it. One is through psychic or mind to mind, and the other way is done heart to heart, and that's more of a frequency. So, I'll just tell you, because I'm sure y'all want to know about sex.
Yeah.
So those that do it mind to mind, you don't even have to be in the same room. You can be on 2 different ends of the big ship, and you share sort of fantasies that you make up in your mind, and you share them back and forth until they feel so real that you end up with with the desired outcome. Let me just put it that way.
Got it. Yep.
Heart to heart is different again. Generally, because I did try some of the energetic pathways. I thought that was pretty interesting. And so the other being and I, we would be in the same room and have lock eyes. We would have eye contact, but no physical contact. And you know how you have this torus, this toroidal field around that's produced by your heart? So you're just energy. You don't think at all. It's just completely energetic, and it's quite intense physically. In the feeling, it's very lovely, and then you have the desired outcome from that. So it's quite, but you can also use that for healing and for other things too. But
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
But they also live much longer than us. So I would say they live to be at least 500 years old. It's only in the first 100 years that they would have reproduction. After that, what they do is they transmute that sexual energy, because it's very powerful, and they transmute it into their psychic gifts. And they become elders. And there's holders. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, there's so much more that I want to ask. I mean, we have less than 10 minutes now, but there's so much more that I want to touch on, and getting back to this, but it's just to be able. The thought that you almost ended everything, and then you wouldn't have experienced this, and
that's right.
And it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am here. One of the few times, this is just changed your world for the better. Everything that's happened to you.
Absolutely. And I'm able to stay intact and grounded, regardless of what's on the news, regardless of what's going on. Although I have to say, I have a very low tolerance for drama, and I don't engage in it, and I don't go where there's a lot of drama. A lot of people need that. I don't need that at all. I have a very, very peaceful life. It's really lovely.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
That's
fantastic.
Yeah.
And for you to ask for wisdom, and the quick way or the slow way, you chose the quick way, and all these things happened.
Yeah.
But I believe that all of these other experiences on the mothership and having these experiences is provided you with even more wisdom. And, now you're sharing it with everyone, which is beautiful. And thank you so much.
Yeah.
And of course, we definitely want to have you back on the show, because I know I have about 1,000,003 questions left and want to hear more about everything. And it's just a phenomenal experience.
Yeah.
And I think I speak for everybody here that I think we're all a little jealous. We would love to have that experience on the mothership, and, to have that, telepathic way of communicating, and just, it's phenomenal.
So
it's what's in store for us. This is our next stage of development. When we're ready, we can have this.
Yeah.
This is not a pipe dream. This is the real.
Yeah.
One more quick question we have just popped up. Can the female get pregnant? Or actually, on the ship, can either sex get pregnant? Or is it just the female still?
Just the female. Okay. Biological females get pregnant. They're designed to carry a baby. I mean, God designed us all beautifully for that. And but I have never heard of anybody getting pregnant from the spiritual sexual relations. It has to be a male and a female. Like, it's done the old-fashioned way. It's quite interesting. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Because they're so far, well, not that far, but they're far advanced, but they are very much the way, we used to be, or how we would be if we were in an indigenous culture.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you're able to see the chats that are coming through, but I mean, it's, thank you for the awesome show. Just put this one up. What a wonderful message, Karen, always. This is, here's one. It sounds like, and Sam came in late. Have to rewatch. Yeah, if you guys have dropped in here recently, you missed a whole lot. This was I don't mean to toot our own horns here, but this was a fantastic show.
Yes, it was.
And, I mean,
thank you, Karen.
Karen, once again,
you're very welcome.
Before we get out of here, where can everybody find you and find more of this great message that you have?
And your book.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. My book is called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors. There's there's the aquatic guy, there's my buddy, there's Bob the Gray, and here's the twins. They're not really twins. They're just, in their culture, they're bonded pair from childhood. If one dies, the other one would die too. And I call them the twins because they look a lot alike. And it's interesting because the females have more facial hair than the males. So you'd think that this is the female, it's the opposite way around. But
really?
Yeah, I get into that. But I really recommend the book because then you have the whole thing, and then you can ask me questions, and you've already gotten a lot of the answers. But I also have a chapter on how to make your own contact and ways that basically like a CE5, but how to be receptive to it, how to open your mind to it. And I also talk a bit in the first two chapters, I talk a little bit, I clarify things. Like, I'm not with the super space program. I'm not part of the Federation of Plan. I'm not part of anything. I'm just me. And then I get a little bit into my past and my childhood, my paranormal experiences growing up, a framework that I developed so that I can understand what all these different kinds of beings are. We're literally we're surrounded by more beings than you could shake a stick at. And at first, when you realize, it's a bit embarrassing to go to the bathroom, but they're not really interested in that part of us. But you can dress me up, but you can't really take me anywhere.
I mean, you talk about poop on it. I mean, you got to know where to go.
We love that. We got to know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a great place to poop.
I mean, to be honest, everybody in chat, were you thinking that, where do they go?
Yes, they were.
I know you were. I was.
Because there were a couple questions like, what did the toilets look like?
Yeah.
How come nobody talks about that? I don't know. But I do. I talk about everything. I don't think anything should be taboo.
No.
Right.
You know?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's awesome. And, I'm glad that you, after your encounter, that, you were able to overcome that and able to share this with everybody. And I really appreciate you coming on here.
Yes.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. And I really appreciate the live chat. They add a whole nother dimension to the show. They're lovely. They're just lovely.
So a lot of people who do these shows, say, "Oh, doing recorded shows is so much better." And like, you know what? It's kind of nice to do recorded shows every now and then, but then you don't have the interaction. And we have great people in chat. I always say that with people, and I really do mean it. Thank you, Julie. Everybody here is just fantastic. Very respectful, very open, and very just wonderful to be around. Nobody judges or anything, so that's awesome. So, Karen, thank you again so very much for being on here tonight. It was just an incredible, and we're gonna have to get you back on.
Oh yes,
definitely.
Yes,
definitely.
There's a lot more we could talk about.
Yeah. Go get her book. Go get her book.
Yes, go get it.
Before we get out of here, I want to thank Mickey for the $2.
Mickey.
Hugs to all. Moon at Noon. They had American tacos and burgers. Okay, that's good dinner. Mickey again, thank you. Moon at Noon, thank you very much.
Thank you, Moon.
And Jilly, thank you so much. Jilly will be on the 31st, I believe. Going to come back on, and that'll be another great show.
Awesome.
But guys, make sure you head on over to BMR's channel in about 2 minutes. He has Heather Mosier on. Him and Krista have Heather Mosier on tonight, so that'll be a great show talking Bigfoot and everything small town monsters and all that. So when does your show air, Karen?
My shows are on Wednesday at 1:00 in the afternoon Mountain Time, or
sweet.
Sunday at noon Mountain Time.
Okay.
And the other show that I do every couple of weeks, although I'm not doing it in March because I'm going to be out of town, is on usually a Tuesday at 1:00 every second Tuesday. But you can find me anywhere, pretty much. Just type in the search at Karen Holton TV, because everything is the same. I have the same name on whether it's Rumble or YouTube or Odyssey or
convenient,
whatever.
Yeah.
So good times to have those on too. So
thank you.
Yeah, guys, go check her out. So once again, Karen, thank you so much for being here. Everybody in chat, I appreciate every one of you guys for being here. Natalie, thank you for being here again. Glad you're back. Glad you're feeling better.
Nice
I
to
hope you're
meet
feeling
you.
better.
Thank you. It's great to meet you too.
So
I hope
everybody,
you're feeling bright as rain.
head on over. What did I just kick? Oh.
Okay.
Just kick something, whatever. I'm just
The dog.
Thank you guys. BMR now. Tomorrow night, Eric Carlson, paranormal investigator out west. So that'll be a fun show tomorrow night. So everybody, until tomorrow night, we'll see you in BMR's chat. Have a great night, and let me hit the out button.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Paul Anthony stands ready in the show me state. Host of Paranormal ain't but never running late.
Chasing down red lights across the sky, but the strangest sighting happens when the G's say goodbye.
Paranormal among us, the spirits are near. Paranormal among us, and the stars are among us, my dear. Then the camera dips low when the blue boxes appear instead. Let's get Strings of gold and the end of gold. From Kenrick's meat market by day to haunted halls at night.
Got helmet humming, EVPs whispering fight.
Saturday at 7, Tuesday at 6:30 Central Time.
The chat explodes when the turquoise glory starts to shine. Paranoid among us, that much we know.
Paul's naughty blue shorts among us in full show. Anchor keeps him grounded when the poltergeist play. Ghost dance defiant, we're getting naughty today.
Not holy water, not the spirit box alone. Those bright blue breeds turn every ghost run into its own zone. Paranormal among us.
The mysteries unfold.
The paranormal among us, among us.
And the shorts are among us all told.
Let's get naughty, let's get haunty, let's live